Alright, good evening everybody. Welcome back to TCR Trinity Competitive Racing. It's Season 10 and it's the Golden Class here in Round 4 in Singapore. Under the lights here, running in another beautiful night race. And that's going to be a very exciting one as well. This being a very tight street circuit with the most corners of any other Formula 1 track that we've got on the calendar at this point in time. I'm not sure if in all of history, but definitely right now it's one of the most complicated, one of the most technical tracks. In real life here, the drivers try to manage their tires as best as they can for their second stint so that they can pull out ahead of everybody in the third one, and it definitely creates for a lot of action. And already in this week here in Singapore, it's created a lot of action for Silver Class. Oh my goodness, there somebody has just hit the wall. It's Chargers. He was not even through his outlap, so already having trouble. In the booth with you guys tonight is myself, BLIN-MACHINE, once again, and also with me tonight I have End of the World. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Ben. How are you?
I'm really excited. Oh my goodness, their Chargers tried to turn around on track and smashed into the wall, and he has retired from the session. He is missing his front left wheel, which is bouncing very funny on track right now, but unfortunately that's the session over for Chargers, and it's pretty much over before it's even begun.
Yeah, that's a tough one to take. It's going to be a long 16 minutes from waiting to get the race started, but let's hope he can compose himself and come back and put up a good fight and win through the field in the race. Strategy is a big thing here, so it's not all over for him. Of course, safety cars are pretty common at Singapore, so he's got some opportunities to look forward to. He just has to be patient.
It looks like we have somebody else having trouble there. You having a giggle, unfortunately, is stuck in, it looks like in turn, I think it is turn 7 or 8? Or no, sorry, turn 14 or 11. How did he get there?
He might be having a giggle, but he doesn't look like he's having a good time.
That was a good one. Padumts. But yeah, talking of safety cars from last night especially, I mean, since you brought that up, I have to talk about, you know, the incident that I had with it, which actually brought out the safety car last night. I was trying to get around a lapped car, and that didn't quite work out for me. We made a tiny little bit of contact, and into the wall I went, and I was out of the race, and that brought out the safety car. Later on, my own teammate, Swish, was telling me how he was in the running to win that race outright by about 30 seconds if that wouldn't have happened. So I sort of didn't just impede myself, but I also impeded the whole team with that.
and that is the thing with the safety car. It can make it, as much as it makes someone's race, it also ruins someone's race. So yeah, it's a long race. It's one of the longest races of the year. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of grit and determination to win this race. So you know, there's a lot of factors that have to go your way, and you do have to have quite a bit of luck to win around Singapore.
Yeah, I think luck is definitely going to be a major factor. Let's watch Asio here as he crosses the line, and he goes fastest at the moment with a 134.9. I'm actually missing some of the names on the screen. I'm not sure if that's happening to you as well, Enda.
No, I'm all good on this end.
So who is the Williams in second right now?
M9H Racing.
Oh, so that's M9H Racing. All right, perfect. Z-Grease just crossed the line there. He goes 135.6. Golderator right now is in fourth with a 136.7. And then some pretty big gaps right now between people here, between Asio and D'Angelo in fifth. In provisional fifth, there's 3 seconds almost. Also, there's another interesting situation happening in Golden Class at the moment, and that is the championship standings. We've got a dead tie between Asio and Seagrease. So those two are definitely going to be running for it here and giving their all, everything they've got. They're both tied at 41 points, and then we've got Flying Jippo at 39 in third place, Bam Bam at 35 points, Aerofizzen 34. So everybody from first to fifth are within 7 points of each other. So that's not even, that's pretty much the gap between first and second. So if anybody here, like Aerofizzen, if he finishes second and Asio finishes below third or fourth, he can become the new leader of the championship. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and even then, to continue down, M9H Racing in 10th on 26 and 25 points respectively, they're still right in it. Singapore, it's so easy to DNF around here, so, you know, with late safety cars and all of that likely to go on, this race can really like mix up those standings, and I think even down to Red Wing and D'Angelo on at 16 points. All it takes is 1 or 2 good weeks for them, and they're right back in the title contention here for the championship. So Golden Class is looking super competitive and really interesting heading into the middle part of the season now, as we're already 3 weeks in, which is crazy to think.
Absolutely, yeah. 4 rounds in, but we've still got 12 more rounds to go in this season. Season 10 has been very exciting so far. It's delivered quite a few different surprises. It's definitely had its fair share of fighting and of battling on track and just close racing everywhere we've went so far. What I'm seeing right now is a lot of drivers are invalidating their laps, and of course this season we're playing around with the track limits a little bit depending on the track. We have decided that Singapore needs to be strict, and it looks like it's affecting some of the drivers. Maybe they've gotten too used to the regular rules, getting a little bit, you know, more liberal with the curbs, but it's not going to work for them here today.
Yeah, and it shouldn't really be too much the fact they're going from regular to strict. It really is just changing your margin of error on every corner. So, you know, it's the same for everyone, so it shouldn't affect the standings, but we may see people, you know, struggle a little bit more, and it might show up in the penalties. But I would tend to think that most of these guys are fully capable of, you know, obeying them to a certain extent. It's when the pressure gets on, I think that's when, and you see that even more so in qualifying than in the race, when it's all down to one lap and you're trying to get everything out. It's very easy to step over the line. I think in the race it won't be as much of a factor, hopefully.
Well, let's see how it's gonna work out here. Last night's silver race was just affected by so many different factors, as it always happens here in Singapore. There's just so much, as you mentioned, that affects everything. You know, tires and your setup. I think setup here is just absolutely incredible to work out, because it's so hard. I don't even know how to set up the car here. I was lucky enough that my teammate you know, helped me out with that and gave me a good setup, and I just changed it a little bit to really fit my own driving style. But I was struggling with trying to get a setup around here. It's definitely not easy, and let's show you exactly why. As D'Angelo here is about to start an out lap, we'll show you exactly what's going on, or a hot lap, sorry. So he's going into turn 1 right now. He just crossed the line. Turn 1 is a hard braking zone into the left, and then another right, and then another left, and this is almost like a hairpin corner when you're driving around this track, especially after you have to go through those few corners. Now coming into corner, I think that is corner 7 now, or 5, sorry, and then coming onto the DRS straight now. It's not really a straight, but in these brand new cars, it definitely feels like it is. Turn 7 now, hard left, kissing the apex on the outside. Beautiful job there from D'Angelo. Now coming into turn 8. That was a nice one as well. And 10 getting out of his way. 9 now. And now coming into a little bit of a straight, running up to turn 10, 11, and 12. Those are going to come at you so quick, as it just happened already with D'Angelo, as I was actually talking about it. And now he comes into turn 12 and turn 13. This one is probably the hardest corner we've got on this track. You got to slow down a lot, but you got to catch the car as it tries to drift out on you. And then you come out to this back straight with the DRS open. I'm pretty sure this is a new DRS zone that they've added for this season, because I don't think it existed there last season. And now it goes into turn 16 and 17 before you come in under the tunnel of turn 18 here. Very, very hard here. We've seen a lot of incidents of people going into the walls on both sides of that corner. Now turn 21 and 22. These are, sorry, 21 and 20, those were very quick. And now 22 and what is considered to be turn 23, but we really see it as just one corner. And D'Angelo goes into 8th place with a 136.4. considering that his teammate has crashed out of the session before he could even start a lap. That definitely is not going to help Racing Point in this Grand Prix.
No, and just to note, Flying Jippo put in a good time on the mediums. He did a 35.9, so he's in 7th position at the minute. It'll be interesting to see whether he does strap on a set of socks for the end of the qualifying session and go out and try and beat that, or whether he's happy to go with that alternative strategy, whether he starts in the top 10 or not. But I don't think he will be in the top 10. I think a lot of people are coming out now in the softs and should be able to beat that time.
So ultimately, what sort of tire do you think you'd want to be starting on? The medium or like even a hard if you qualify below the top 10?
I would personally, I think you want to start on the medium, not the hard, because if you get a safety car after 10 laps and you have a good spot to pit, you want to be able to put on a set of tires that can take you to the end. There's no point starting on the hard, getting your safety car at lap 10 and then not being able to strap on a set of tires to the end of the race, because you're not making up a whole bunch of time then, especially with the pit lane here. You lose a lot of time coming into that pit lane and through the pit lane. So I think you want to start up as far to the top of the field as you can, avoid any trouble into turn 1, 2, 3, get out, set your own pace. Oh, we did a lot of damage there coming over the bridge. Get out, set your pace.
Yep.
Hope for that safety car early on and put on the hards and then go from there. And the hards leaves it open that if there's a late safety car, you can go back on for the mediums or softs. So that would be my thinking, but obviously everybody has their own way of attacking it.
So speaking of a little bit of trouble there, Ben Swerven just got a 5 grid position penalty for contact with D'Angelo. So that is definitely not going to help him out in this Grand Prix here today.
So it was him and D'Angelo. I'm not sure what happened, but when they go under the bridge into the final sector, just after entering the final sector, and that's where the contact seems to take place.
Absolutely. So if you guys are just joining us right now, I do see quite a few viewers joining the stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the golden class of TCR. This is season 10 and we are in round 4 in Singapore. As we have already mentioned, it's gonna be a pretty good one considering that it's a very tight street track. It usually brings out at least 1 or 2 safety cars, and it definitely provides from a lot of close racing because there isn't really anywhere to go. It's a very, very tight track, and you know, certain places, like I found out last night, you can't even pass a lapped car because there's just not enough space, and once you make the contact, there's nowhere else to go. We've got M9H Racing right now on another hot lap, it looks like. Yeah, he's on a brand new set of soft tires coming into turn 5 or turn 3, sorry, right now, and that was a pretty good exit out of there. Now he's on the back straight with DRS open and coming into turn 7. Very nice, kissing both of the curbs on the inside and on the outside through there. Turn 8, quite nice through there as well. That car wants to be a little bit wiggly on the exit, of course, because these tires are probably feeling the pressure of M9H Racing pressing on them as much as he can. So now he's going through the tight sections of 10, 11, and 12, coming into the hairpin of turn 13, locking up a little bit on the outside corner, but pretty good run from him. He's currently sitting in 5th place with a 135.4, but in 1st place right now in provisional pole. Oh, there we go. There's a purple sector from M9H Racing there in sector 2. Impressive. So let's see how he's going to finish this one up. But I was going to say, on provisional pole at the moment, it's 134.6, and Asio following up Aerofism with a 134.7. So only a 10th between those two for the pole position at the moment, but then Z-Grease is about 4/10 behind them in 3rd. So this might be the time for Aero, like I was mentioning before, to try and take away the championship lead here if he puts himself in a good position, and M9H Racing crosses the line, and he is the 3rd person into the 134s, 134.8. Very nice from him.
Yeah, just back on Arrow, I'm looking to the Red Bulls today, Flying Jippo now, because then bounce back. They had a bit of a tough go out last time in Japan. They were very competitive in rounds 1 and 2. So I'm expecting to see them, and we're already seeing Arrowfist put in a good time and make that statement that he's not gonna be disheartened by a bad performance last time out. He's ready to come back and fight strong. Other than that, it's looking great. I mean, very competitive. Everyone is looking, very smooth, attacking the track, able to get these quick lap times, and they all look very under control and very in tune with the track. So I think we're set for a really good race as we kind of tick down to the last 2 minutes, and we're going to see everyone out on their last flying lap now.
And there's definitely a lot of people out there right now on another flying lap or on an out lap. There's Asio, Z-Grease, Jones, Bam Bam. I'm not sure who that is because I'm missing the name, but he's in Red Bull. Mr. Joshua, and we've got an AlphaTauri and Fuzz, and all of them pretty much out there for another lap. You have a Giggle having another go. Unfortunately, he invalidated 2 runs already in this qualifying session, so not helping himself out there, unfortunately. Who would we have there? Oh my goodness, it looks like Stanley. Is that him right here that I'm watching? No, that's M9H Racing. He had an incident there. You have a Giggle disqualified from the session. What did he do?
I think he was trying to turn around somewhere on the track. Yeah, down here.
Yeah, he's at the exit of turn 10. Just parked, just completely parked in the corner there. I think he just missed his braking zone and just went completely wide, but I think we're going to have some quick times coming up soon. M9H Racing is just cutting all the corners because he's already invalidated his lap and he's going into the pits. Z-Grease is on the lap. Oh, he's got a lot of traffic on his lap, and I think that's not going to help him out here. Let's see, he's going to come to the end of the second sector. There's somebody else in the wall on the exit of turn 10. And Z-Grease going through this very technical section here into turn 13, making that left-hander very beautiful and very smooth run through there. There's another car there going slow. That's Golden Raider letting him through. He's finishing second sector. He's 3/10 quicker through the second sector than anyone else. Aero Fizzin still on his outlap and still in pole position. Is just starting his outlap right now. Z-Grease is going to be crossing the line there in just a few moments, and so far he's had a beautiful lap here. He might be taking away the pole position. There's an Alpha. I think that's you having the Giggle, or somebody else is in the wall as well on the exit of turn 20. Oh my goodness, there's so much going on already, and this is just qualifying.
Yeah, it's making me nervous for what is coming in the race.
There goes Z-Grease into pole, 134.6.
That was a great lap to go on board with. I think Accio will be next across the line, and he's just gone 3/10 of a second quicker through his second sector, so he is matching Z-Grease so far. So we'll see what time he puts on the board in. And those 3/10 alone, if he matches the other sectors, that should be enough to pole. He comes around the second penultimate corner now. Let's see what time he puts on the board. Oh, 3:10.
Wow.
That's a great time.
A 34.304 from Asio. What a beautiful lap. Aero Fizzan has just put in 5/10 quicker in the first sector, or in the second sector. Oh my goodness, this is just about to get very, very heated. Aero might be able to go into the 133s if he's able to complete this lap.
Yeah, and he is right on the edge. You can see it. It looks like the car is Oh, he invalidates.
Oh my goodness, that is going to be very upsetting for him, as he was on, he was on the charge. He was definitely going to say, he was 7/10 quicker than anyone else.
Yeah, he looks like the fastest man on that lap as well, I have to say, just riding on board. More than anyone else, he was fighting that car around the track, which is what you need to do to really extract the most lap time out of these cars. The car has to be pretty much over the edge, and you just have to be willing at home, kind of like Charles Leclerc said last year. And here at Singapore, he said he lost it a few times. And I think if you're not losing it, you still have room to push. But that's qualifying finish for today. He's got a great grid. I see Flying Jippo at 11. He starts 11 on that alternate strategy. He's going to be one to watch for me anyway for this race.
But on the front row, it's your 2 championship leaders, Asio and Z-Grease, separated by 3/10. They're in first and second. They're currently tied in the driver championship at 41 points. Aero Fizzan in third, M9H Racing in fourth, TCR Jones in fifth, in 10th and 6th, Golden Raider in 7th, Bam Bam, sorry, Joshua in 8th, Bam Bam in 9th. Ben Swerven is going to have a 5-position grid penalty, but so he's going to be starting in 15th, and that's going to promote the Red Bull on the Alpha that unfortunately I'm missing the name of, and D'Angelo there is also going to get promoted. I'm not sure what's going on with Cody's. Some days they just give us the weirdest of glitches.
Yeah, that was ISRL night that you couldn't see in the alpha starting in P12, I think it was. It'll be moving up to P11, or was it P11 moving up to P10? We'll see now on the grid.
Yeah, unfortunately it's still not showing their names, and that is gonna really suck if I'm gonna have to do with that.
I'll do my best to, if I can follow where you are on track, I'll try and give you the information you need.
That's perfect. I'm just really hoping that for the actual race it might reset like it sometimes does, and then it will be back on. But yeah, thank you guys so much for everybody who's joining up the stream. Leave us a like, send us a comment, let us know what you guys are watching for in this one and who you're rooting for. Who do you think is going to be on that podium or on that top step here tonight? I'm sure it's going to be a difficult one to predict. But yeah, it would be interesting to see if anybody can get it. It looks like Nelzy is saying it's going to be Aerofizen, Asio, and Stanley on first, second, and third. So that would be a very interesting race to see. Stanley Zed, I'm not sure which position is he, or what spot was he in the quali?
I think he's starting towards the back of the grid. I think.
Oh, okay.
But that's their wild cards. I'm gonna ask Blin, who do you think is going to be your top 3? And on top of that, how many safety cars do you think we're going to see?
I think, you know, Golden Class has proved to be pretty clean so far this season, so maybe just the one safety car, but there could be a chance for a couple. I mean, this game, especially on F1 2020, it's all about where that car is going to crash. That decides sort of if it comes out, so not really sure. I'll have to wait for that. But my top 3 drivers for tonight, I would have to say Asio and Zegrease are gonna be there somewhere on the podium, as long as they can keep it clean and as long as they can get away from the rest of the pack as soon as possible. It's not gonna be easy, but also Aerofizen, he's very promising with the pace he had in qualifying there. I know he invalidated that last lap, but he is showing that he's got some high potential coming into here. If he can keep that pace in the race as well, and if he can manage his tires and stay out of incidents, he's definitely one of my contenders for the win, I would think. Now, other than that, though, there's been a few drivers that have just been making their way through the field. They have a really good eye for that, and that's Flying Jippo and Bam Bam and M9H Racing in 10th as well. He's got the 1 win under his belt already, and I'm sure he's going to be trying to chase down another one. He had a DNF in the last round. There's so many drivers on this grid that are amazing and they deliver every single week, so I really don't know who to go for, but I would say, you know, Aerofizen and Zegrease are definitely 2 that I'll be watching here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Aerofizen. I think just up riding on board that lap, I think he had great pace around here, so I'm gonna go Aerofizen P1, Intent P2, and Flying Jippo on P3. Just to note, Intent starting in 6th, he qualified on mediums, so he has incredible pace around here. To be able to qualify that high up on the medium is no mean feat. Safety cars, I'm going to go 2. I think we might get one early. I think people will be anxious, and then I think towards the end of the race, when people get a little bit more desperate and you know they see those positions and points to grab, I think we might get a couple of late breakers and maybe an accident. Hopefully not, but you never know. As Acchio's been left to dry, he's been hung out to dry here. Look how far back some of that pack is. He never likes to do that.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Well, they're all gonna line back up again. It looks like we've got 4 cars in this front pack, and then a couple of cars hanging back, and then a really big pack. Oh my goodness, Golderator is backwards through turn 22. He's literally reversing on track. Oh my goodness, I'm not sure what happened there. Don't touch the wall, Golderator. Come on. Get back on the grid.
I don't know if you can get damage, though, heading to the grid. I think he should be okay.
I think he overdid it on the warm-up, And then this is exactly the place where the AI takes over your car to put it back on grid. So actually all of that 3-point turning there, that was actually done by AI. But that looked like that scene from Austin Powers.
As we're getting ready now for the lights to go out, I'll keep an eye on the back. I'll leave you to lead us away from the front boom.
Alright guys, we're all lined up on the grid here. We got 3, 4, 5 lights are on. The lights go out and we go racing here in Singapore for round 4 of Golden Class and TCR Season 10. And it looks like a pretty good start there towards the back of Intent. He's already up into 5th place. Somehow there's somebody almost spinning out. I think it was Flying Jippo. Had a little bit of contact on the back of his car and he almost lost it. But it seems like everybody got through the first couple of corners here. Let's follow on board with Flying Jippo to see what's going on. Bam Bam in front of him going a little bit wide. Oh my goodness, somebody has spun out. It's Intent. He spun out. He's hit the wall. He's turned all the way around on that little straight, and he's now turned back around, but that's all the way back of the grid for him. We've got a yellow flag in there, no safety cars, no virtuals. Asio and Zegri still in front, M9H Racing still in 3rd, Aero Fizzan still in 4th place, Jones in 5th, Bam Bam currently in 6th, Golderator in 7th after he had that little bit of a incident on the outlap onto the grid. I think this 8th place, the name that I'm missing is probably Flying Jippo, and then Joshua and D'Angelo follow him very, very closely. And look at that, there's already a couple of packs forming. It looks like Asio and Zegris are sort of trying to and starting to pull away from the rest of the pack. The main 4 cars in front are starting to pull away from the rest of them, and we'll have to wait and see what happens here, as it looks like the Alpha, who is in that Alpha? Is that RC7? No, RC7 is not it.
It's ISRL Knight.
Oh yeah, ISRL Knight has just overtaken D'Angelo there for 10th place, and yeah, wow, that was a pretty good start there, pretty clean as well. I'm very impressed with this Golden Class drivers as they're not completing the first lap. No major incidents so far.
Yeah, no, it's been a great first lap. Flying Jippo's missing an end plate, D'Angelo's missing an end plate, so they're going to be slow for the next few laps. Intent got spun around, so there goes my shout for Intent to do well. So although it's not over for him, he's going to get back to pits, some fresh in the tyres, and some to the pack. Other than that, everyone's kind of mingling now into their own race pace, and we'll start to see where they go on.
Oh, it looks like we might have a battle here for... I'm not sure why all of my... Oh yeah, Intent is now into the pits. All of my graphics are all completely messed up. D'Angelo and Mr. Joshua have also come into the pit. So we had 3 people pit on that first lap. Or at the end of that first lap. We have a yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. It looks like an AlphaTauri is all spun around the exit of turn 7. And he's back on track now. Again, no safety cars or anything just yet, but very exciting stuff here already. So when is this going to change? So Asio is still in front. Zegris is still in 2nd. Now he's about a 2nd behind Asio, so there's a little bit of a gap forming there. We have a yellow in sector 2. It looks like Ben Swerven has had an issue.
Ben Swerven, Red Wing has lost the front wing. Yeah, so it's
virtual safety car.
There we go. So that gives anybody who it has damage can come in now, reduce the amount of damage they're going to do to the overall time. So people like Flying Jippo, I think D'Angelo had a bit of damage.
Oh no, you haven't a giggle just got a drive-through penalty for speeding under VSC.
And that, it's a weird time to get it before it, you know, it's not like it's ending, so maybe he just wasn't fully paying attention to what was going on there. And another one.
Oh my goodness. I'm not sure what he is doing, if he is possibly not noticing that there's a virtual safety car. RC7 has just gotten a drive-through penalty as well for speeding under safety car. Geesh, that is all gonna add up to some penalties here at the end of the race, and that might be a decider for some of the people. But we're back on the green flag racing here, and just let's take a look at some of the position changes from the start. So Asio and Zegri still leading the race exactly where they started. M9H has risen up to 3rd from 4th. Aero has dropped down to 4th. Jones is still in 5th. Golden Raider has gained a position. Bam Bam has gained a couple of positions. RC7 has gained 6 positions off the start there. That is a pretty good start for him. A lot of people into the pits. Fuzz, you having a giggle. Ben Swerve, Joshua. I'm wondering if they might have had some touching under VSC because they're all changing their front wings as well.
Yeah, so I know a lot of them had damage before the VSC. Ben Swerven and Fuzz both spun and brought out the yellow flag just before we saw the VSC. Ben Swerven I think caused the VSC intent, obviously got damage earlier on, and Joshua I didn't see, but obviously he was using some part of that wing. So we can already see that the field is being spread out. We kind of have the front 7 who are all running at a good easy pace, and then you have a drop back to R27 who's 17 seconds behind him and has a drive to serve. So we really are seeing 2 races kind of form now.
And Golden Raider is now into the pits as well, so that's going to promote a couple of people up a position. Bam Bam in 6th position now. There's a little bit of a battle going on here at the front, and yeah, those gaps are massive already. I'm really surprised to see how big those gaps are. It looks like an AlphaTauri has spun out here. Who is in that AlphaTauri? Would that be Flying Jippo?
And another, I think it was McLaren. It's another virtual safety car, just as Golden Raider was actually serving a drive-through penalty there in the pits. So he didn't put on any fresh tires, didn't change his front wing. It was just a drive-through.
A lot is already happening here tonight, and we are only on lap 4. We've had 2 virtual safety cars already. Look at the spread on lap 4. That doesn't make any sense. Look at them. They're completely spread out all over the track, and I've never seen that before. Even in Singapore, where you can get quite spread out because of strategy usually, but I think this is more because of the timing of those virtual safety cars and who had damage and when they had to pit. People have pitted. Oh my goodness, there's more touching now. M9H Racing has just run into the back of Aero Fizzen. Aero Fizzen is getting the 5-second penalty for that, even though it was M9H Racing. And then drive through for Chargers under speeding under virtual safety car. We're back to green flag racing now. DRS is also enabled. Oh my goodness, I don't know what just happened here. It looked like a very calm and good start, and then things just kicked off at very odd places and time.
Yeah, and we have 27 laps to go. So just some of the drivers could probably do with keeping that in mind, thinking about the long game. They might run out of tyres at this rate if they're going to be coming to pits every 5 or 6 laps. That's a bit harsh, but a little bit of a joke, but we'll see how we get on now. Obviously the front 6, unless there's a safety car, they're looking pretty safe, and even dropping out of that now, M9H Racing and Jones can repair their broken wings. So we have the top 5 running away with this race so far.
A yellow flag in Sector 1 again for the AlphaTauri that's running in the back of the grid. Who's in 20th position there?
It's McLaren P1.
Oh, McLaren P1, so he has had a couple of misses already. You having a giggle. Oh my goodness, everything's kicking off here. 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits for Chargers. He's already have a drive-through penalty as well to serve. So this is just all massive. Oh no! You having a giggle just taking out Aero Fizzen! I can't believe it. I was just on board with him riding through the entry of turn 13 there, and right in the middle of a road was You Having a Giggle. Safety car is now deployed. Oh my goodness, Aero Fizzen, he was in a great position to possibly even win this race here tonight, and he's out of the race now because of a car that was spun out in the middle of the track.
Yeah, so I think You Having a Giggle lost it coming across the bridge, and then just had left the session, so I have the feeling that he lost it and maybe just turned off the PlayStation, didn't retire, and so the car was left in the middle of the road. The AI trying to 3-point turn an F1 car around that very tight bridge, and it just couldn't move. I was surprised the safety car didn't come out beforehand. And then I'd seen Accio and Seabeast fly past, and then next thing You Having a Giggle was up in the air, and that was Aero Fizzen's race over. But this does mean that we're going to get the field all packed up together again, and it gives everyone a chance to reset, to breathe, and to think about the rest of this race now. I mean, we still have over 3/4 of the race to go. So still plenty of time for some good racing.
25 more laps to go, and that is gonna, if this is the way that the first 6 laps have gone so far, I have no idea how we're gonna make it through the race. We've got pretty much everybody who was running through the front pack there have all come into the pits. It looks like Asio Seagrease, Bam Bam, Gold Raider is into the pits right now, Flying Jippo. So quite a few drivers are taking this opportunity to use the safety car to change their strategies, change their tires. RC7 gets another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So some of our drivers are not getting adjusted to the strict rules here tonight, as well as some of the other ones. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens here. We're on the safety car on lap 6 of 31. Asio and Z-Grease are exactly where they started this race. Let's actually take a look at the position changes. So right now, the Alfa Romeo, is that gonna be ISRL Knight? Yeah, he's currently in 3rd position. After all of those calamities and all of those incidents that we've just had, he's managed to rise up 8 positions from 11th to 3rd in 6 laps. Very impressive. And right now he's on a brand new set of tires as well, I think. So he should be good to go. Yeah, he's made a stop already, so he's put on a brand new set of medium tires. He is now in a very good position to attack the front runners maybe later on in the race, as long as he can stay out of trouble, as we've seen here tonight. It's not that easy. Bam Bam is currently in 4th. He's risen up 5 positions as well. And then M9H Racing and Jones have each lost a position. RC7 and D'Angelo doing a great job. RC7 rose up 7 positions, even though he has some penalties to his name that he might have to serve. There's another Alfa Romeo that spun out. That's ISRL Knight. I was just talking about him. What has happened there? I think he was trying to warm up his tires or something, but he is now dropped down to 11th place.
Luckily, no damage though, so he can be able to fight once the restart happens. But yeah,
oh my!
We were having a crazy race at the minute, and safety car isn't in this lap, so he seems to think he can take. Or he was overtaken. You have a good one. So I think everyone, bar McLaren and you have McGiggle, are on the lead lap, if I'm not mistaken. Joshua is catching up, he's still quite a ways back. But just, it's important to note now, so obviously at this rate we're bound to have another safety car, but if not, anyone who put on the hards, the safety car kind of came out at the perfect time if you were to run the normal soft to hard strategy, and you lose less time in the pits. Softs really start to go off after 6, 7, 8 laps. That front right restricts them from the front, they overheat, and you really do start to really lose the front end. So the top 6 can all go to the end on those. Maybe not RC7, he's already done 6 laps on the hard, but the top 5 can go to the end if they need to on those hards. Flying Jippo is set to go to the end, along with Gold Raider and Mr. Joshua further down. Everyone else expecting to pull off at least another pit stop, and maybe more depending on safety cars or whatnot.
So lap 7, and we are still under the safety car. Gold Raider has decided to make a very late pit stop there on the start of the 3rd lap of the safety car, so he has dropped down quite a few positions, down into 16th. Another couple of wing changes that we've seen there for Joshua and Gold Raider as well. Oh my goodness, I'm not really sure why we're having this trouble. The only real incidents that I can note that we've had so far in the season, the Golden Class, have all happened under VSC or safety car. So I think people just need to learn that, you know, even though you can get a really good restart and you can take some positions, or you can get a really bad restart and you can lose some positions, it is an important part of the race. But you got to remember, while you're warming up your tires, while you guys are all circling around the track, keep a good distance. Give yourself, you know, a couple of car lengths so you can do whatever you need to do. And then when the restart comes, it's much better to try and, you know, avoid an incident and save that front wing rather than risk it all and then you have to pit again and you ruin your race. And now safety car is coming in on this lap. Asio is doing a good job of bunching everybody up. They're gonna get going in just a second here. We're going to be watching as they get going now, and Asio gets a really good restart. Z-Grease also gets a beautiful restart, and Bam Bam and everybody else gets a little bit back. D'Angelo gets spun out right on the exit of the last corner, right before the start-finish straight. There's somebody that gets an ignored drive-through penalty. I'm not sure who that is.
That was McLaren. I think
McLaren and yeah, he just got disqualified. Wow. So we've got a disqualification. We had D'Angelo that spun around. Now we've got some battling in the middle of the track. We've got somebody else spun out as well. That's Intent again. No, that's not Intent. Sorry. Who is that spun out there? Oh my goodness. There's a massive incident there between a Renault, an Alfa Romeo, and an AlphaTauri. All of them got involved in that. All of them have damage now. Again, as I was just saying, you know, the restart is important, but it's not that important that you have to lose your mind and lose your front wing, and then you'll have to pit and lose positions and time.
Yeah, I think the thing maybe that's affecting them is at a track like Singapore where it's quite hard to overtake it, it is a really good opportunity to make your race, but as we've seen now numerous times today, it can also ruin your race. And I think today, the people who have benefited the most are the people who approach this slow and steady, and they realize there's a lot of racing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, sorry, Knight and RC7 are battling very hard here. Knight going down the inside. Oh, they make contact! And now Knight has a 3-second penalty, and no, he doesn't have any damage. He's very lucky to get out of there with no damage. Asio puts in the fastest time, 141.6 so far in this race. The Asio, Z-Grease, Bam Bam, Jones, M9H Racing, they all decided to go on that hard tire all the way down to 7th place in RC7. They're all running the hard, and then we've got a few people like Knight and Fuzz and Ben Swerven running the medium tire, and then yeah, quite a big mix of different strategies at the moment.
Yeah, those guys on the medium tires are losing out at the minute because they could probably be going faster and pack ahead of them, but as you were saying, Singapore is such a hard track to overtake that they really aren't getting the full benefit of being on the softer tire. They're stuck behind RC7 right now, and he's doing a good job of defending his position and just, you know, taking care of those hard so he can go as deep into this race as he needs to and hope for a late safety car.
It definitely can happen. We've already had a full safety car. We've had a couple of VSCs. Now it looks like Foz is closing up onto Knight very quickly. He was thinking about going for a move there into turn 15, but he thought twice about it. He's going to hang back for a little bit. Now coming into the hairpin, almost touching the front of RC7 is ISRL Knight, and Fuzz is right on the back of them as well. This is getting very, very heated up here in the midfield of this race. Stanley has risen up to 11th place, and he is trying to close up onto the back of Ben Swerven. Yeah, there's a lot of people saying that this is a crazy race. Definitely very exciting so far. Oh, there's more battling now between Knight and Fuzz and RC7, and both of them have overtaken RC7, and they're now into 7th and 8th place. There's just so much happening so quickly. I'm struggling to keep up with it all.
Yeah, I think especially here, if somebody makes a move on you and you're out of position, it's very easy to lose 2 or 3 spots, especially if there's a train of cars behind you. So I think RC7 was unlucky there. Ben Swerven gets him as well and coming into turn 1. At the front, Seagrist is... You've got Archer in insight, so he's not letting him get too far ahead, but Archer does seem to be edging away just ever so slightly. These two guys...
Oh no! RC7! He made contact with Stanley and spun around at the exit of turn 4, or 5, sorry, and he has a bunch of damage. I think D'Angelo has just touched him as he was trying to turn around there, and I think D'Angelo now has damage as well. There goes Joshua overtaking RC7, and he's dropped down to 15th place. He just made the tiniest bit of contact there, but that was enough to take the car completely around.
Yeah, but as we've seen already, they're not completely out of it yet, and you never know what's going to happen. There's still points up for grabs, so hopefully they can, you know, keep positive and just get on with it and maybe say something in this race. But actually now Accio is starting to pull away a couple tenths per lap away from CG. This is going to be interesting to see. This could be the battle for the win if we're not to see another safety car. If Accio can just put a couple seconds gap between him and Segrist and round those tyres to the end, he may very well be in the position to control this race.
Yeah, and oh, we've got another yellow flag in sector 2 and 3. Is that RC7? Yeah, it is. He had another little bit of a spin there, a little bit of a moment. He is not going to be happy with this race so far, at least up to this point. Now, further into the front, though, M9H Racing is still keeping up with the front back here of Bam Bam, Zegris, and Asio. But I gotta say, Asio and Zegris are the only two drivers really so far in this Grand Prix that have not had any major incidents, not gotten tangled with anybody, didn't get involved in anybody else's incidents either. It definitely takes a certain amount of, as you said, luck, but also, I mean, there's definitely a bunch of skill in there to time everything perfectly, to analyze the situation, and also just drive at a comfortable pace that gets you away from the rest of the pack without, you know, panicking, without making any mistakes.
Yeah, I completely. Oh, M9H Racing almost lost it there coming over the bridge at the end of the sector. But yeah, I agree, and that's why I said at the beginning, I would always go to track position, especially at Singapore, over strategy. You want to get away from all of that madness that happens behind you. You want to get away from going 2-3 wide at any of these corners. They're just far too tight. If you can just get out in front, keep your wits about you, and I think more than any other track, you really only drive at about 75-80% around this track if you want to make it. The tires can't live up to the tires overheat too easy, and with such small margins for error, you just need to I think slow and steady definitely wins this race. And we're seeing that already with the top guys. You know, none of them look like they're pushing too hard. They're all just putting in solid lap times and making sure that they're not making mistakes.
I'm still seeing quite a few penalties coming in though, so I don't really know exactly where they're getting their warnings on which corners here, but from driving experience here around Singapore, if you drive the proper line, the fastest line, there isn't really anywhere that you can cut too much. I mean, yeah, I can think of a couple of corners, but not too many.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think the place where I kind of get them the most would be Sector 1, turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's very easy to just very, ever so slightly run over the edge with your tires and pick up a warning. And yeah, that's part of the game as well. That's part of driving within yourself and being able to be quick but be controlled at the same time. And that's what the very best do really well. And that's what we're seeing Thatcher and CG. They're driving very much within themselves, making sure that they're not putting the car in areas that it doesn't need to be, not putting the tires in areas that they can't handle. And that they really are in control of this race so far. And we can see they're starting to pull a decent gap after that safety car.
Yeah, and Flying Jippo is doing a good job of holding on to Jones as Jones hits the wall, and there goes Flying Jippo up a position into 5th place. It feels to me like tonight, anytime I talk about a driver, something happens to him. So I don't even know if I should stop talking about them or how am I going to be able to commentate that way. But now Jones has just almost run wide through the entry into the pit lane. He definitely needs to pit now with that damage to the front wing. And now M9H Racing is getting so closer and closer to Bam Bam, just slowly but surely. He's doing a very, very good job of staying on the back of him. He is losing the car here in some of the corners as I'm seeing him coming out of the corner. On the exit, definitely the car wants to get a little bit wiggly, but he's doing a very good job of holding it together. And now, again, he's closed up to now 0.3 of a second behind Bam Bam. Zegris is also starting to close the gap to Asio in front.
Yeah, absolutely. I think M9H Racing is doing a great job. I feel like he's holding on to the back of his pack really well, and it's really making his race. He has shown great pace already, but like you said, he does seem to be pushing just, a tad bit more than those in front. But he's driving a great race so far and really keeping Bam Bam on his toes. Oh, a slight bit of contact going back of him. I don't think he lost any inputs or any of his front wings, so that should be a problem. But yeah, some great racing going on throughout the field, but definitely the top four are doing a great race and really smart, really thoughtful racing. And Flying Jippo is going to be joining that pack very shortly, I think.
Yeah, the gap down to Knight at the moment now is over 8 seconds, and it's growing quite quickly. It was about 7 seconds a couple of laps ago, and we're only on lap 13 of 31, so just remember, this is Singapore. Anything can still happen. We've seen people lose their cars and get into incidents, and we've had a safety car, a couple of VSCs. We have quite a lot already happening, so you can never really count anyone out at this Grand Prix. Just looking again at the stops and position changes, we have Joshua, who's made 4 stops in this race already. We have you have in a Giggle, Gold Raider. They've made 3 stops each. We've got I think it's McLaren, Jones and Intent, and Stanley and Flying Jippo have made 2 stops, and the rest of the field have only made the 1 stop so far in this race, which is very impressive. I mean, Osteo, Zegrees, Bam Bam, it looks like Fuzz and Knight have both only made that 1 stop. Oh, Fuzz is now trying to overtake on Knight. It looks like it's gonna work into this next corner. They go, they're almost touching wheels there. Knight is trying to hold on to the position. Fuzz goes in front again, and now Knight is trying to overtake around the outside, and he manages to keep his position for now. Fuzz is gonna have to try on another occasion.
Yeah, great battle in there between the two of them. Great to see them navigate it without any damage and without spinning. We're coming up to a lap car now, and you having a giggle. So let's see. Oh, he gets in the way of ISRL Knight there. Not having a good day. Oh, that's, of course, that's an AI car you having giggles. So that's going to be a nuisance throughout the rest of this race, unfortunately. They're going to have to deal with an AI car.
Fuzz runs a little bit wide there, and that opens up the door for Stanley. He was thinking about going for a move, but didn't quite make it stick on that particular time, so he's gonna have to wait for another opportunity. That's another thing we never really touched on in Singapore. There aren't too many, natural sort of overtaking spots. You gotta create your own in sort of, alternate positions. You gotta try and figure out where there's gonna be a good space for you to pass. There's the DRS zones. I think there's, 2 of them in total, but they're placed all around the track in very weird places. Or no, three DRS zones, but they're placed around in weird places. I really think the only place where you can go for an overtake is between corners 5 and 7, which they're coming into right now. Stanley, Fuzz, and Knight in this battle for 6th position, and this battle has been going on for quite a while now as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a track where you need to have very good racecraft. A lot of it is just being patient and waiting for the driver in front of you to make a mistake and capitalizing on that when you can. Save your tires, save your ERS, and then try and pull away and break that toe. Oh, M9H Racing has crashed into the wall and major damage, losing his front wing. Flying Jippo manages to avoid him and jump up into 4th place. But that's M9H Racing out of the battle for the lead of this race is going to have to come into pits and a virtual safety car.
Yeah, that brought out a virtual safety car. Very, very odd. This game honestly has the worst sort of recognition engine for when we need a VSC or an SC. If you recall, last week in Japan, also in Golden Class, we had Golderator with probably one of the most amazing Codemaster crashes I've ever seen in my life. And then he gets a drive-through penalty. Oh my goodness, it's all over the place today. Anytime I talk about anyone, something happens to him. But Golderator, yeah, Golderator was coming through 130R, and he touched the curb on the exit of 130R. He spun the car around, went outside onto the gravel, did a flip through the air, and landed straight onto the middle of the track, right into the entry into the last chicane. We didn't even get a virtual safety car. All we got was a yellow flag.
Yeah, there definitely has been a few instances like today with Europe and a giggle. We definitely could have done with safety car there. I also think then we may have a race cut short. But it's one of the things we just have to put up with for the moment anyway. Who knows, maybe they're working on a fix. But until then, it's the same for everyone.
Yeah, those gaps keep on growing too. Look, Asio and Zegrees, 3.5 seconds. Zegrees and Bam Bam, 3.1. Flying Jippo is doing a great job rising through the positions here again tonight. As I said, he's just got that skill in him that, you know, he just plays the situation to his advantage no matter what the situation is. We've got Knight now 11 seconds behind that front pack of those 4 cars. So those gaps are starting to grow in some places. They are starting to close in other places. We are just past the halfway point of this race. We're on lap 16 of 31. And again, anything could still happen here. We can have another virtual safety car, another safety car. We can have a major crash or an incident somewhere. We'll have to wait and see, but just want to throw out again a huge shout out to everybody who's watching. Leave us a like. Throw us some more comments here, guys. Keep the comments coming. I love reading those. It looks like Astunik is saying ISRL Knight for the win. Well, he's got a lot of work to do right now at this point, but you never know what could happen at the front. Asio and Zegrees could come together. Bam Bam could possibly wake up and come into that fight. Flying Jippo right now is doing an amazing job, so he might still do something. Oh, we've now got a yellow flag in Sector 3. Jones is doing pirouettes in the track here.
Yeah, so it's just good to look at. I mean, oh, and Jippo was making a move on Bam Bam, and they touched, keep it fair, relatively clean. Both have all their front wing, and that's flying Jippo up into 3rd place as he dives down the inside of Bam Bam. But it is just interesting to note the totally different strategies, tyres, pit stops that everyone's made so far. It just kind of speaks to the chaotic start to this race we've had. But the last, you know, we've kind of gone now 10 laps with very little incidents, and it just shows how dependent this track is on rhythm and getting into a good flow and feeling comfortable with where you are and your pace and everyone around you. So starting to see some really good racing now.
Still seeing those penalties coming in, and also watching very closely for this battle for 5th position now, as unfortunately we had that incident for, I think it was M9H Racing. So Stanley, Fuzz, and Knight still battling very, very hard here. They're only a few tenths away from each other and doing a pretty good job so far with staying, staying very clean, but there's going to come a time when Stanley's going to try to make that move on Fuzz. He definitely has to. I think he's quicker than both of these cars in front of him right now, and he's just being slowed down by them at the moment. Look at Flying Jippo pulling out that gap from Bam Bam. 1.4 seconds, 1.5 seconds already. He's definitely got some pace. Knight now goes for his stop, for his 2nd stop in this race. I think this is going to be his last one. He's probably going to go on another set of mediums, at least I would guess so. You could possibly go on the soft, but 13 laps on the soft would be very, very risky.
Yeah, more than risky, I think it would be a mission doomed to fail. Gold Raider retired.
Oh no, Fuzz! Fuzz just went completely into the wall. It looked like he lost it by himself on the exit of turn 5.
So Fuzz and Gold Raider out of this Grand Prix in relatively quick succession. I'm just riding on board now with RC7 to see if he comes up to Gold Raider where he passes him. But this virtual safety car, there's a couple of these guys in the pits, so that's great timing for them. They saved a lot of time in the pits due to being in the pits while everyone is going a little bit slower. We're back to green flag racing here.
Zegre's got that virtual safety car penalty. He's got a drive-through.
Oh, and that's
the key for Asio. That's it. He's just now probably he doesn't really know about it, but he is now in the golden position here to take not just the win here tonight, but possibly the championship lead as well. Definitely the championship lead, because Zegre's, if he finishes as it stands right now, he's going to be in 4th. But we don't know what yet is going to happen before the end of this race. As now we've got Jones having another moment at the exit of turn 13. Oh my, a lot of drivers are struggling here today, and it looks like most of them are just struggling by themselves at just the exit of corners, trying to get that traction when you're getting back on the throttle.
Yeah, you're asking a lot of tires around this track. There's a lot of heavy traction zones, a lot of heavy braking zones. So you really just need to be patient. As we were saying earlier, Slow and Steady is definitely winning this race. There doesn't seem like you need a whole lot of pace today to be up at the top of this pack. If you can keep it on in a straight line, you seem to be in a great position so far today. As Stanley, who started, where did Stanley start? Is up to 5th. Great.
Intent has just retired.
Oh my goodness.
So we've now got 5 DNFs already in this. Well, 4 DNFs and 1 disqualification. That was definitely exciting as well. And this race just can't get any crazier. It just keeps on getting crazier and crazier. D'Angelo is now into the pits. What kind of tires is he gonna go on? He's changing his front wing as well, so he must have gotten damaged somewhere. He's putting on a set of hard tires until the end. There's only 11 more laps to go.
Unless he doesn't have a set of fresh mediums, he's kind of in that stuck putting on the hard, because soft still it'll be a stretch taking here.
I would have still put on that softs. I mean, 11 laps, you never know what's going to happen. What if you have another virtual safety car, another safety car? Those all of those things definitely help you out. Fuzz has now left the session. And he's had that incident that he crashed out of the race with as well, unfortunately. Z-Grease is now into the pits for his drive-through penalty. And let's see where he's going to come out. He's in 5th, so I was predicting he's going to be in 4th. But he's come out 1 position back from that. That's gonna hurt a little bit, especially because I think he probably needs to make another stop in this race. He's only made the 1 so far. It's gonna be tough for him to finish the race on the current set of tires. I think he's done so far 13 laps. So you would have to do a total of like 23 laps. Oh my god, D'Angelo is now out of the race as well. What happened to him? Who's coming there through?
Z-Grease will be able to see him, and I think he just missed his braking point,
and then just decided to retire, I guess. Wow.
Yeah, I think Z-Grease should be okay to the end. You can do, maybe not at a great pace, but you can easily do 25, 26 laps on those hards. So I think that those top 5, top 6 are all going to the end. Maybe not. Stanley has a little bit of a tough task on his hands. Doable, but you know, he's asking a lot of those hard tires. But other than that, the top 3, I imagine, have no intention of hitting, bar a late safety car.
And the gaps are getting bigger and bigger. Osseo and Flying Jippo is now in 2nd place. Are 5 seconds apart. Bam Bam is now 8 seconds behind them. Stanley another 8 seconds back. Z-Grease another 5 seconds back. The closest gap we've got on track right now is the one we're watching here, which is Chargers trying to close up onto Z-Grease. He's only 1.2 seconds behind. And Z-Grease definitely doesn't need this right now at all. He's going to try and get out of his way as soon as possible, but he's on an aged set of tires. Charger's actually on an older set of tires. He's done 17 laps on those hard tires, so he's going to definitely have to come in and pit again. And looking at the position changes right now, look at Flying Jippo. So he started in 10th. He's currently running in 2nd. Bam Bam started in 9th, running in 3rd, but Stanley started 19th. Currently running in 4th place. Absolutely incredible for him. Z-Grease overall has lost 3 positions. Chargers has been one of the biggest winners out of all of this crazy racing here. He's in 6th after starting in 17th as well. Great job from him.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying at the beginning of the broadcast, was just stay out of trouble, run your own race. This has been a race of who's been able to keep it in a straight line. Who's been able to not get any damage and you know, not hurt themselves more than anything. I think this has been a race of the least mistakes wins, not necessarily the fastest driver wins today.
And looking at the gap to the leader right now, so it looks like
actually, he's lost it, and he's lost his front wing.
Oh no, and I was just gonna say, Flying Jippo was closing in on him very quickly, and there he goes into the lead of this race. Absolutely unbelievable. I cannot believe that just happened to Osseo. He was almost, like, I was just gonna say, he was almost a second clear of 10th place, or a minute clear of 10th place at that moment. And he's just run wide there. It looks like he lost the car a little bit on the exit of the last corner. and then it just stepped out on him and he hit the wall.
Yeah, I think he was probably struggling with the overheating tires because maybe he started to lose it on that lap. That lap he lost about a second from Flying Jippo. So I think the problem had already started, and that's it. Coming around that last corner, he just completely lost the back end of the car, spun and into the wall on the pit straight, and that's ruined his race now. As he runs wide there, he needs to get back to the pits, get on a fresh front wing, and he may have to even make up some places to get back into the points at this rate, because it was just the worst point for him to lose the car. That's such a long lap now, he's losing so much time to all the drivers behind him.
We've got one battle going on here on our track that's actually close enough to have DRS. That's Ben Swerven closing up on Jones very, very quickly right now. And Ben Swerven, I gotta say, is doing a very good job. He's been improving through last season into this season as well, and through the races. He's only got 2 points to his name so far in the championship after finishing 9th last race and also getting the fastest lap. So maybe he'll be able to get another couple of points here today if he's able to overtake Jones. Jones is struggling on his tires, having a little bit of trouble. Now Bam Bam is closing up right to the back of Ossio, who's going into the pits with all of the damage that he's got on his front wing. Ossio almost missed the entry into the pit. He's probably feeling a lot of different emotions right now.
Yeah, and probably none of them too good. But you can see now, Flying Jippo is 15 seconds back to Bam Bam. That is crazy. I mean, it was only a handful of laps ago that Flying Jippo made a pass on Bam Bam. So it really shows the great pace that Flying Jippo has today. Stanley's doing a great job. He seems to be catching Bam Bam, so that might be one to watch towards the end of the race. Ben Swerven has taken that 9th spot from Jones as well. And it's going to be close between Ben Swerven and Accio now, who's coming out of the pits. But you can, yeah, Accio's well out clear.
Oh yeah, and he is 12 seconds behind Knight as well, so he's got a lot of work to do here, going down to 8th place after that unfortunate incident for him. Yeah, Singapore is not for the lighthearted. It is definitely a track where you need to have some good experience and good practice at. Very important to also have a good setup. You know, I've been told once by a colleague of mine in league racing that I should turn up my wing whenever I'm switching to a harder compound in the pits, and I've been doing that since, and I gotta say that makes a huge difference when you're switching from, let's say, especially from the soft or the medium to like a hard or something. It makes such a huge difference. But setup is just important on every track. It makes you feel comfortable with your driving. It lets you do exactly what you do best at any track, which is go fast and keep a good pace, work out a rhythm, and then you can use that pace and that rhythm to just drive yourself forwards, even if everybody else is a little bit quicker. If they have their moments, like we've seen from Ossio, like we've seen with so many people here tonight. I mean, look at how many DNFs we had. We started with a full grid of 20 drivers running with 14, and you having the giggle is actually disconnected as well, so that's an AI car driving for him. For technically, we have 7 people who have unfortunately not been able to complete this Grand Prix already. Now I'm watching as M9H Racing, who was in a pretty good position, but he's made another pit stop and he's now come out on that medium tire. He's now closing up to the back of Chargers.
Yeah, and M9H Racing has a good shot now of maybe getting up to 4th before the end of this race. I think maybe Stanley a little bit too far ahead. But on those fresh mediums, he's going to have a great tire advantage over those ahead of him. And he seems to, if he can make quick work of Chargers, I think Grease is definitely in his aim as well.
Yeah, I think Stanley is doing a good job right now, just watching as the gap on him and Bam Bam is dropped from 1.8 seconds to 1.5 seconds between the last couple of laps. I think he might be within striking distance of him probably before the end of the race. We've got 7 more laps to go. We're on lap 24 of 31, and thank you for everybody who's been with us so far and watching. Now it looks like somebody else has had a moment there. Is that Knight? Oh no. He's got a bunch of time back to Asio, though he's still 2 seconds clear of him. He doesn't have any damage, so he just spun the car around. The tires will be a little bit overheated, so as long as he takes it easy for the next few corners, he might be okay. Now Asio is going to be thinking about making that move on him, and he sees his opportunity. M9H Racing is also seeing his opportunity on Chargers, and also in front of both of them, ISRL Knight has gone into the pits. So now here comes M9H Racing into turn 1. Not quite close enough that time. Let's wait for a little bit and get DRS on that exit of turn 5, and I think that will help him get a little bit of an advantage. They're also on completely different tire strategies and completely tire compounds. Asio has just put in the fastest time, 138.7 there from him. Very nice. Sector 1, yellow flag. It looks like an Alfa Romeo has gone off track, but we're watching now as M9H Racing made that overtake on M9, and he spun around. They made a tiny little bit of contact, and M9H is now completely the wrong way on the track, and there he goes. He is turned around and he's back on it, but that was very unfortunate between him and Chargers. It looked like it was going to be a pretty good overtake, but I think M9H Racing got a little bit of tire spin out of the exit of that corner and just made a touch on Chargers.
Yeah, that was, you know, that was hard to watch. That one, that was tough. It seemed like a good move, and when you're on the edge, the slightest touch from the other car can just send you to spin, unfortunately. But one thing I've been watching is Stanley trying to catch up to Bam Bam. Now Stanley is on hard tires that have done 5 more laps than Bam Bam. So that's even more impressive that he's been able to close that gap down. He seems to be consistently closing that gap down, so don't know if it's his setup or his driving style, but he definitely seems to be making those hard tires work much better than Bam Bam, who seems to have just been losing time to find Dippo throughout this whole stint. And Accio too, when Accio was ahead of him. It seemed like Bam Bam, while he's had a good clean race, it doesn't seem like he's had quite the pace stage as some of the other runners.
And Stanley, of course, just a reminder, coming from 19th on the grid in qualifying and currently running in 3rd place and on the podium. Very, very impressive from him. I'm pretty sure he is a reserve driver here tonight. I think he's coming over from ISRL, but very impressive. And yeah, definitely we'll have him over again if he wants to do this sort of a performance as a reserve every single time. That would be very impressive. So far though, looking at the runnings right now, so Asio was the leader of this race together with Zegris for quite a long time. They were on the front row. They were the drivers in the lead of the championship coming into this round as well, tied on points exactly at 41 each. But that has all changed, just like we have speculated in the starting of this session and in this Grand Prix. I kind of said that this would be coming. This is the place where things can turn around, and they definitely have. Flying Jippo is running in the lead of this Grand Prix right now. He's currently sitting in 3rd place and only 2 points behind the leader, so this is going to give him a great boost for all of his driver championship attempts here in this season. Bam Bam currently running in 2nd. Bam Bam is currently sitting in 4th place and at 35 points, so both of them are going to be promoted to the top of the championship. Stanley as a reserve again running in 3rd place right now. Zegris was 2nd for most of the race until he got that drive-through penalty for speeding on their virtual safety car, and after he came out of that, he was in 5th place. He's made up the 1 position so far, and that was because of Asio having his moment. So yeah, very, very complicated and very intense race here today. Stanley is now within the DRS zone of Bam Bam and closing down on him very quickly. He's been using a lot of his overtake, though he's only got 5% left, so he's gonna have to try and recover some ERS and make his move before we're done with this Grand Prix. 4 more laps to go.
Yeah, and he is going to be right on the limit with those tires, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of pace he can keep up and if he has anything to mount a fight to Bam Bam on these last few laps. As well as that, Ben Swerven is pretty close to ISRL Knight, battling for 8. Other than that, everybody has 3 or 4 seconds gap between their next run. So for the rest of them, if they can keep their nose clean for the rest of the race, they should be okay. And you never know, if you can just keep on the track, you might pick up a place or 2 in these last few laps as people start to get desperate. And maybe just push that little bit more, trying to make up some time to the car in front, or maybe go for the fastest lap.
And don't forget about penalties as well. We're running strict rules here tonight. I've seen quite a few penalties come up for a lot of people, so that might also decide a couple of positions at the end here. Stanley has closed down the gap by another 10th or so, but just not getting quite close enough. I think he's being very smart, though. He's not really pushing too much to make sure that he's not going to overrun these tires before their sort of sweet spot that he can finally use to overtake. And now he's within DRS, and he's using his overtake on the start-finish straight, running into turn 1. Not going to be close enough again. Singapore doesn't really give you too many opportunities to overtake, but there's going to be one coming up right now at the exit of turn 5. Bam Bam gets a beautiful exit there out of turn 3 and pulls away from Stanley just a tiny little bit. Also gets a really good traction out of the exit of turn 5 now with the DRS open, using all of his DRS. He's got no overtake left. He's down to 1%, and Stanley still cannot close right to the back of Bam Bam, but he's now within 4/10 of him. Remember, last lap was within 7/10, so he's definitely doing a good job of keeping those tires within the working range and slowly eking out that gap to Bam Bam. So that could turn very exciting right towards the end of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, just on, you touched on it there with the penalties. I think we've obviously had the trial period in TCR run the regular, and I think it's been a huge success. I'm actually almost a little bit disappointed that, you know, we're going to have a race decided on penalties, because for the most part, I haven't seen anything egregious. I haven't seen anyone do anything where they're trying to gain an advantage or even have accidentally gained an advantage. So I think, you know, there was a little bit of, you know, negative feedback when the stewards decided to go with the regular for most tracks, but I think it's been a great success, and I just think it's worth pointing out what great races we've had so far. And hopefully, you know, there's not too many shake-ups tonight, but then again, everyone is playing by the same rules, so everybody will finish where they should finish, and it's just something to remember.
Stanley on the start, finish straight, coming on to Bam Bam again, moving out of a slipstream to gain some clean air, or maybe thinking about a move. Again, not quite close. Let's see if this time out of turn 3 and he can keep the car good out of the exit of turn 5 as well. And with the DRS and a little bit of overtake, he's managed to save up about 10%. He's using it now. He's using his DRS. He's closing up onto Bam Bam, but just not enough. I think those extra 5 laps on those tires are starting to show now, in terms of, you know, he's close enough to close up the gap, but he's just not close enough to overtake. And it's just a thin line between pushing your tires too much and possibly spinning out, and also trying to overtake the car in front. So a very complicated situation here for Stanley right now. I hope he's staying calm, keeping his head down, and I really hope he's gonna keep on to this position. In third, we've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Who's that?
It's a Ferrari. Ben Swerven is just making a move on ISRL Knight. The battle for 8 is really heating up now,
and Knight is missing an end plate.
Is he? So maybe that's why Ben Swerven is right behind that, right in the fuel box. So just going back to the Stanley Bam Bam fight, has M9H Racing, well, he's lost his place to Accio, so Accio was really on a charge, and RC7 has retired in the pits, so that shouldn't be an issue. But it's good to see Accio making places up right behind Chargers, so maybe he can get that last place. It'll be a pretty good recovery drive, but it's not going to do anything to ease the pain of losing that what looked like a comfortable victory.
Stanley again, not quite close enough. I keep on switching to his onboard as he comes out of the last corner to see if he's going to have a chance at an overtake of Bam Bam. We're now on lap 30 of 31. Flying Jippo has pulled out 17.5 seconds on Bam Bam, so he can easily... he could have made a pit stop and still come out, you know, possibly in front of them. The pit lane actually here in Singapore is almost the same length as running the straight, except for the time you actually lose going through it on the pit limiter. So I think about 20 seconds would have been enough. So he would have been about second or third, and then he could have easily possibly overcut all of the drivers with a soft tire. But he's gonna hold on to that track position. As long as he can do another lap and a half here, he will be the winner of this Grand Prix. After all of the incidents that happened to Ossio and Zegris earlier on, we just had a yellow flag there for Jones going through the first sector, but he seems to be alright, and he keeps on going. And this battle keeps on going as well between Stanley and Bam Bam. They've been locked in for a few laps now. Stanley has made an amazing job of closing that gap and keeping behind Bam Bam, keeping that pressure on him, but he just doesn't have enough to actually make that move and make an overtake. We'll keep on watching as now Flying Jippo has already started the last lap of this Grand Prix. We're now on lap 31 of 31. This is it. This is the last opportunity that Stanley is going to have to try and overtake Bam Bam and take away second position.
Yeah, and I think for Stanley the big thing is his DRS. Bam Bam has plenty in reserve, and you just see on the straight, even though Stanley ends up having DRS, as Jones retires on the last lap and loses a point, that's really unfortunate. But you just see Bam Bam pull away on the straight. It might be slightly to do with tires, but I would have the feeling it's much more to do with Stanley running below 10% ERS, and he's losing a lot of engine power. As you can see here, Bam Bam easily pulls away, even though Stanley has DRS and is in the slipstream, so that is unfortunate for him. Maybe he needed to use it to catch up to Bam Bam and just hasn't been able to recover it since.
Ben swerving, going for a move on ISRL Knight into turn 1. Almost making contact there. ISRL Knight had to go wide to avoid an incident. Ben Swerven is touching the back of him now. They're very, very close together. Now they're going through turns 3 and 4 and into 5. Ben Swerven thinking about going around the outside there, and he makes that work, for at least for now. But ISRL Knight is still pulling ahead of him. He's got the DRS. Ben Swerven now going around the outside again into the next corner. And that one is going to work finally. ISRL Knight almost losing the car on the exit of that corner as well. Flying Jippo is so far ahead that he's about to come and cross the line, and look at him swerving around already. He's loving this. He came out of nowhere and took this away, spinning the car across the line, and he takes the win, and the fireworks go off for Flying Jippo here in Singapore in Golden Class Season 10 TCR Round 4. There comes Bam Bam and Stanley right now are going to come around and finish this race as well. Bam Bam is going to be second. Stanley is going to hold on to that third place, and very impressive from the reserve driver here, coming from 19th to 3rd. If he's not the driver of the day for Codemasters, then they've just completely messed up everything. Z-Grease is going to have to take 4th place after running most of the time in 2nd, but then having a drive-through penalty. Asio, 5th place after being in the lead for most of the time, but having an incident, spinning the car out and getting damage. Chargers in 6th, M9H Racing 7th. Ben Swerven is going to come across the line in just a few moments, and he's going to take away 8th place as long as there is no major incidents or penalties for him. It looks like he will keep that 8th place. ISRL Knight gets 9th place. Joshua is going to be the last point finisher here tonight. I think that's the AlphaTauri of McLaren P1, am I correct? In 11th?
Correct.
Yeah, he was a lapped car, so he's technically already finished this race, but he's going to be in 11th. And that's pretty much going to be our main finishers, because everybody from there on have retired from this race. That includes Jones, RC7, D'Angelo, Intent, Fuzz, Golderator, Aerofizen, and is that Red Wing Racing as well?
It was actually Red Wing who finished P11, and it was McLaren who DNF'd. But
wow. And Flying Jippo is going to take 1st place here. Stanley is the driver of the day, and definitely deserving of that. From 19th place in qualifying to 3rd and on the podium at the end of the race. But Flying Jippo, after everything we've had here tonight, with all the incidents and safety cars and virtual safety cars and spins and everything else, he is going to be on that top step and spraying the champagne.
So I'll invite them in here now so we can have a quick chat with the guys, see how they found that race.
And this is going to completely change the Drivers' Championship as well. Flying Jippo is going to boost himself up into the lead together with Bam Bam as well. They're both going to overtake both Asio and Z-Grease, who's going to drop a couple of positions each, and that is not going to help them out. Unfortunately, Aerofizen is going to lose out a little bit here today, not having a very good race for himself here today either, so that is very unfortunate. But just looking through the finishers again, Flying Jippo and Bam Bam in 1st and 2nd, Stanley in 3rd, Z-Grease 4th, Asio 5th, Chargers in 6th. The Williams, that was M9H Racing in 7th. Ben Swerven in 8th. Knight in 9th. Mr. Joshua in 10th place. The AlphaTauri of Redwin Racing in 11th, and then everybody else was a DNF. That was Jones, You Having a Giggle, RC7, D'Angelo in 10th, Fuzz, Golderator. The other one was McLaren, and Aerofizen actually got disqualified from the session. So that was a very exciting race. And now we're gonna talk to some of our drivers here on the podium. I think Flying Jippo is already with us.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, perfect. So, congratulations on that win. Oh my goodness, I honestly could not have predicted that. We were talking about that in the start of the race, that this race cannot be predicted. It's just so many crazy things can happen at any time. Did you think while you were riding there, I think mostly in 3rd or 4th place, towards the closing ends of the race there, were you thinking that possibly Asio would spin out and then you would go into the lead?
No, not at all. I had a chance that I could catch him. I had a thought because I felt really quick. I felt in the zone, and I just wanted to, send it, get that win. And I was thinking like, hey, maybe I can catch this guy and put him under a bit of pressure, and maybe I put him under too much pressure. But no, I'm really happy that happened because it made life easier for me, and I feel bad for him because that was a really dominant race. He got pole, I think it was, and was leading the race throughout. But I'm really happy that I can win that race.
What was your key here today, other than, staying out of troubles and out of the walls? Did you have a really good setup worked out for today? Did you do a lot of practice, or was it just playing the situation like you usually do?
Full sends. I think that's the secret here. I went for it a lot, and I really did not think I would have won that. I had to make an extra pit stop because the game, when I set my MFD to hard tires, it decided to put me on softs after safety car. So that was not great, but I somehow was able to, be fast enough to still win that race. And I'm as shocked as you are, really. But yeah, really just fully sending it. That's what I did.
And did you have any questions for our winner?
No, I think it was a great race. I noticed that you made the extra pit stop, and I was wondering what went on there. It just goes to show. We were saying to ourselves that this race is all about keeping it clean. There wasn't a huge amount of difference in pace. I think Achio just had a very, he started at the front of the grid, was able to get away. But it's even more impressive that you had to make that extra stop and still won. And you drove a very commanding race today, so well done.
Thank you.
And that puts you top of the championship standings as well. So that's got to feel good.
And with a good gap too. Absolutely, because Asio, I think, finished 4th or 5th, and Zegris was somewhere around there as well, so you're gonna have a pretty healthy gap going into the next race.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think this season is my best chance to win the championship, and this just proves it. 2 race wins this season, and
I was just gonna say I've sent invites to the 2, and they don't seem to be joining us, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know that Stanley is a reserve driver, so I'm not really sure if we've got him in our normal sort of lists for invitations, but Bam Bam...
I can invite him.
Oh, actually, yeah, throw him an invite if you can. That would be great.
Yeah, I was the one who recruited him. I'm actually really proud of his race today.
Very nice, yeah. He
Would
definitely
you be as proud
impressed us.
if he'd stole the win?
Well, not sure if he heard you there.
I think he might be. And Blind Jippo was just saying, would you be as proud of him as if he had stole that win off you today?
I still would have, but I might have been a little disappointed. But no, he drove a great race, and first race here in TCR, and it makes me feel like a father,
19th to the podium and 3rd, driver of the day. Absolutely, yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright, so we'll give them a couple more seconds here. We'll see if anybody's gonna join up. But end of the world, how? Just tell us about the race today. What are your impressions?
Yeah, I have to say, after that chaotic start, it was good to see everyone knuckle down and kind of find their groove. And I think that's the big thing with Singapore. And I think for anyone who's watching who's going to race at Singapore in the future, you can learn a lot from even from last night and tonight. The guys who win, they're not the guys dive bombing every corner. They're not the guys sticking their nose in places that shouldn't be. It's keeping it clean, keeping it smart, and running your own race, and knowing your own pace and knowing your strategy. I think is so key around here. There's other tracks where you can make up for mistakes. You can get into the DRS train of someone and really pick up some pace. But around Singapore, you just have to be really precise and drive an accurate race. And I think all the guys who finished in the top 10 did a great job today.
Alright, so nobody else is joining us up, so we're just gonna end it here. I wanna throw out a huge thank you to Flying Jippo, and congratulations again on the win here tonight. Thank you for joining us for the interviews. And yeah, I guess also a huge thank you to all of the TCR officials, all of the drivers in Golden Class today that delivered a very entertaining race. It was a little bit hectic at certain times there, especially under the virtual safety cars that came out in the first couple of laps. If you guys missed out on that, definitely press the rewind button and check it out, because it was quite exciting here today. But tomorrow we will also be back in here in Singapore, back again for round 4 in the Platinum class of TCR Season 10, and I'm sure that is going to be just as exciting as tonight and as Silver was last night. Singapore just never disappoints. It brings out a lot of different exciting moments, a lot of battling. It's a tight track, and we've seen a lot of different things happen today, a lot of unexpected things. So join us tomorrow as well. Thank you everybody who's been watching the stream. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, share the videos with everyone else that you think might be interested, and obviously subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on all of the racing action that happens here every week. Also, huge thank you to our affiliate sponsor, Fanatec, and if you guys want to support the league and get some equipment, check out the link in the description for more information on that. So from us here tonight, from BLIN-MACHINE and End of the World, first of all, End of the World, thank you so much for joining me here tonight.
It was a pleasure. Great sharing the booth with you, and I look forward to commentating on some more races with you. Hopefully I avoid your commentator's curse tomorrow evening and make it through. So
I just won't talk about you
tomorrow, Blin. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll just completely avoid you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks very much.
Alright, sounds good. So yeah, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you back here tomorrow as well as next week for the next round of TCR in Golden Class. But join us tomorrow at 8:15 EST to see the Platinum Class race here in Singapore. Have a great night, everyone.